Welcome to a world of absolute extremes. On one side, we have the cathedrals of the sport, colossal, awe-inspiring structures where over 100,000 voices scream in unison, creating a roar so thunderous it doesn't just fill your ears, it reverberates through your chest and rattles your bones. These are the giants, the engineering marvels that push the very boundaries of what a building can be. Monuments to human ambition and the universal love of the beautiful game. But on the other side of this spectrum, we're heading to the outskirts, the remote islands, and the dramatic mountain passes to find the tiny, the quirky, and the downright microscopic. We're talking about professional pitches where the entire crowd is basically a few dozen passionate locals, one enthusiastic mayor, and a very confused dog who wandered in from the village square. From the dizzying, almost incomprehensible scale of North Korea's massive concrete bowl to a pitch in Europe that is literally carved into the face of a rock cliff, we are counting down the 5 biggest versus the 5 smallest football stadiums on the planet. Grab your binoculars for the small ones, and maybe a wide-angle lens for the big ones, because this is a journey from the gargantuan to the gloriously miniature. Kicking off our list of the world's biggest stadiums at number 5 is the iconic FNB Stadium in Johannesburg, South Africa. Better known to the footballing world as Soccer City, this remarkable calabash-shaped masterpiece was completely rebuilt and expanded in 2009 ahead of the first ever FIFA World Cup to be held on African soil. It holds an impressive 94,736 fans and serves as the undisputed spiritual home of South African football. Its breathtaking orange mosaic exterior was deliberately designed to resemble a traditional African calabash pot sitting proudly on an open fire, a deeply symbolic image for the continent. When it's full to capacity for a ferocious Soweto derby between Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates, the noise and the atmosphere inside are nothing short of absolutely electric. It is a stadium that doesn't just host football matches, it tells the story of an entire nation through its architecture. At number 4 on our Giants list, we cross the Atlantic and head to the United States, specifically to the famous Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. Now, this one is interesting because it isn't actually the permanent home of a professional soccer team, yet it has hosted some of the most significant football matches the world has ever seen. Completed back in 1922, this historic venue officially seats 92,542 people, but for the truly massive events, it has accommodated crowds significantly larger than that. The Rose Bowl is a fully designated National Historic Landmark, cherished for its classic wide-open bowl design that gives every single fan an unobstructed connection to the action on the field. Its greatest footballing moment arguably came during the legendary 1994 World Cup final when Brazil faced Italy in a sweltering Californian afternoon, a match that will live forever in the memories of those fortunate enough to be there. The Rose Bowl doesn't just hold history, it is history. Taking the bronze medal for sheer size is the Camp Nou in Barcelona, Spain. Construction of this monumental ground was completed in 1957, and in the decades since, it has grown into a place of genuine pilgrimage for football fans from every corner of the globe. With a staggering official capacity of 99,354, it holds the prestigious title of the largest stadium in all of Europe. But Camp Nou is so much more than reinforced concrete and manicured grass. It is the beating heart of Catalonia, a symbol of cultural identity and fierce regional pride as much as it is a football ground. Standing in the very top tier of the stadium for a Champions League night, with the stadium bathed in floodlights and the noise rising up to meet you, feels remarkably like looking down from the roof of a skyscraper, watching 22 tiny figures dance on a perfect rectangle of green carpet far below. There are few sporting experiences on Earth that match it. Our number 2 giant is the Michigan Stadium in Ann Arbor, USA, a venue so large it has been given a nickname that perfectly sums it up: the Big House. While its primary purpose is as a college American football venue, a role it has served faithfully since opening in 1927, it holds a remarkable distinction in the world of soccer, having set the record for the largest football crowd in United States history. With an official capacity of 107,601, stepping inside Michigan Stadium is a genuinely overwhelming experience. There are no towering luxury boxes interrupting your sightlines here, no modern architectural frills competing for attention, just endless sweeping rows of benches, packed shoulder to shoulder with fans stretching so far into the distance that the people at the top are practically silhouettes. It is raw, democratic, and utterly spectacular in its sheer scale. And finally, the undisputed, unchallenged king of size, the rungrado 1st of May Stadium in Pyongyang, North Korea. Completed in 1989, this total behemoth of a venue officially claims a seating capacity of 150,000 people, a number so large it functions less like a stadium statistic and more like a small city's population count. Its distinctive roof features 16 elegant arches arranged in a perfect circle, a design intended to evoke the image of a magnolia blossom floating gently on the surface of the Taedong River below. Whether it is being used to host the North Korean national team's matches or the breathtaking, almost surreal mass performance spectacle of the Arirang Games, nothing else built on this earth comes close to matching the sheer, humbling scale of this architectural giant. It is a building that makes every other stadium on this list look, frankly, modest. But now, let's shrink things down dramatically. Way, way down. Starting our countdown of the world's smallest professional venues at number 5 is the Victoria Stadium in Gibraltar, a tiny British overseas territory perched at the very southern tip of Spain, in the shadow of one of the most famous rocks in the world. Built in 1926, the ground seats around 5,000 supporters, which already makes it intimate by any professional standard. But what truly sets this stadium apart from every other venue on Earth isn't the capacity, it's the location. The Victoria Stadium sits directly adjacent to Gibraltar International Airport's main runway. Not near the airport, next to the actual runway. If an aircraft needs to take off or land during a match, play is genuinely suspended while everyone pauses and watches a plane thunder past at eye level. It is the definition of cozy, with the kind of view and operational quirks that no stadium architect would ever dare to plan on purpose. At number 4, we journey north to the windswept, dramatically beautiful Faroe Islands to find Vidloken Stadium. Built in 1980 in the small town of Runavik, this charming little ground holds only around 2,000 spectators in total, with a mere 500 of those enjoying the luxury of an actual seat. The stadium is entirely surrounded by steep, lush green mountains on one side and the cold, gray expanse of the North Atlantic Ocean on the other. The setting is, without question, one of the most photogenic in world football. However, there is a practical concern. If a striker gets a little overzealous with a shot and sends the ball sailing wide of the target, there is a genuinely realistic chance it goes straight over the barrier and into the icy fjord below. Ball boys must need swimming lessons as part of their training.
Coming in at number 3 is the extraordinary Gospin Dolak Stadium in Croatia, a ground that regularly features near the top of every most beautiful stadiums in the world ever compiled, and it's not hard to understand why. Built in 1989 in the town of Imotski, it holds only around 4,000 people, but it is the setting rather than the size that makes it utterly unforgettable. The stadium is constructed directly into the side of a cliff, sitting on the literal edge of a sheer 500-meter drop into a stunning blue lake and the ancient ruins of a submerged medieval city far below. It is small, raw, dramatically rugged, and feels less like a football ground and more like something conjured from the pages of a fantasy novel. A goal celebration here presumably involves not running too close to the perimeter fence. For number 2, we visit the Herzog Ernst Stadion in the Austrian Alps. Home to FC Schladming, a small club serving its tight-knit local community, this ground caters to only a few hundred seated supporters on a good day. In an era defined by billion-dollar transfers and gleaming corporate mega arenas, there is something deeply refreshing and genuinely moving about this place. It strips football back to its absolute unadorned essence. A flat pitch, some grass, a handful of your neighbors on a wooden bench, and 90 minutes of football. It is a reminder that the game was never really about the size of the building. It was always about what happens on the pitch. And finally, at the very top of our smallest list, or perhaps the very bottom, depending on how you look at it, we find the most gloriously extreme example of compact professional football anywhere on the planet, the Adidas Futsal Park in Tokyo, Japan. Perched improbably on top of the Tokyo department store in the heart of one of the world's most densely populated and land-hungry cities, this remarkable little stadium was constructed in 2002 to celebrate Japan's co-hosting of the FIFA World Cup. It consists of a single professional standard futsal pitch with a tiny standing area capable of accommodating just a small handful of spectators. It is not a sweeping grass arena with towering stands. It doesn't have a roof that resembles a magnolia blossom. But it represents something genuinely important. The idea that football is not about scale, prestige, or the number of seats your venue contains. Sometimes, all the beautiful game truly needs is a rooftop, a ball, 2 goals, and the pure, uncomplicated desire to play. From 150,000 to a rooftop in Tokyo, football contains multitudes, and that is precisely why we love it.